All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is our monthly webinar from C11 at the University of Gloucestershire. This is Ali Shahbaz, Academic Subject Leader for the Cyber and Technical Computing Department. And we are delighted to have our speaker from CyNam, Chris, and I will introduce him soon, but before that, we have an interesting topic. But before that, we do have some announcements done by my colleague, Riel, and then we will come back to our speaker. I'm interested to listen to what he's going to say, to be honest. But Riel, please let us know what you have in your list and come back to Chris, please.
Okay. Thank you, Ali. And again, yes, welcome to everybody who's joined us today. I've got just a couple of announcements that I'd like to share to keep everybody up to date on the events of C11 and the university and things that we've got coming up. So firstly, for the next of our webinars, I'd like to let everyone know that next month we will be having joining us Dr. Andrew Rudall, who has just joined our webinar this afternoon. And he is an experienced European patent, UK and European patent, an IP, intellectual property attorney, based out of Bristol at Hazeltine Lake in Kempter. And he's going to come to share with us a little bit more and an updated perspective on what's happening in that world of the patenting processes, offer some insight and some advice, some pros and cons, particularly as it applies to software development, whether that be in the security dynamics or in creative dynamics, software development such as gaming and such. So we're looking forward to hearing a little bit about his work and what's happening in that environment, and particularly as it might relate to SMEs, academic researchers, or major industry players. I think there's likely to be something in there for all of us. So that is next month's webinar on Thursday, May 5th. Again, same time, 12:30 to 1:30. And you can see the link there in the chat if you would like to register for that. So thank you, Andrew, or Drew, as I understand, and we look forward to hearing more about that next month. Then my other announcement, as you've been hearing me kind of providing some highlights of, we've now opened our registration for our C11 Cyber Tech Symposium that is scheduled for July 7th, this July 7th here live at C11 Cybersecurity and Digital Innovation Center out at Berkeley. We have got our agenda and our keynote speakers now fully confirmed. We're delighted to have a keynote speaker from the NSCS, National Cybersecurity Center, who's going to be speaking about our national cyber strategy, particularly as it relates to critical infrastructure and protecting against cyber attacks. So we're very interested in finding out how that, what the news is on that and what our senior management at the NCSC has got to say. And then to further that similar theme, we've got a second keynote from IBM. Let me get the title right. IBM Security Command Center for Europe. And she's going to be talking to us about network security, vulnerabilities and threats along that line, and again, tying into this cyber attacks theme. We will be supporting that with our educational concepts and educational themes as we do from one year to the next, and look forward to having a good turnout for that event. So if you're interested, again, the link is in the chat. We'd encourage you to, that's not my phone, we'd encourage you to register soon and join us on the day. So those are my announcements. Thank you for joining us. I will turn it back over to Ali for introductions.
Thank you very much, Riel. That's really excitement to have our conference face-to-face this year. rather than having it online last year. Also about the next month speaker, we have Andrew. That's really excitement to learn about the IP. But let's focus on today's talk. We have our speaker from CyNam. Let me just first tell you a little bit about CyNam and come back to our speaker, Chris Dunning-Walton. CyNam based in Cheltenham, and it's a name from cyber in Cheltenham, and they began as a modest meetup network group in 2015 for members of the region's cybersecurity community. And in a short space of time, CyNam popularity grew dramatically, and today it hosts regular events with 100 of attendants. Now, more than 900 strong members are there in CyNam, provide a valuable Cheltenham-centric platform that connected to the best cyber technology mind and local SMEs and startups to support from people, expertise, guidance, funding, and new businesses. And then CyNam is proudly independent, providing unbiased advice and impartial introduction for its members, and community interest as a community interest company, CyNam ensures that all profit are invested back into development, even greater value for Cheltenham's cyber technology community. Their partners is Hub 8, Infosec, BPE Solicitors, Hazelwood, and the Craft Consulting as well. That's partners of CyNam. Regarding our speakers, Chris Dunning-Walton, one of the founding directors of CyNam, and he will be our guest speaker today, outlining the work of the organization, which connected talented security mind, SMEs, and startup with advice, services, and business opportunities to further their success. And it will be great opportunity for me and my colleague and people who are attending this webinar to hear about the current and the future work of this dynamic local organization and the range of initiatives they are involved in to support businesses of all sizes, from startups to major industry players. Chris, we are glad to having you today. I'm interested to learn from you, hear from you, and learn about your activities alongside my colleagues and the audience. Thank you, Chris, and please feel free to share your screen. We are looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Ali, for that introduction, and it's an absolute pleasure to be with you today and to give you a bit of insight into CyNam and our journey of how we've got here, and from very humble beginnings, as you say. So thank you. A little bit about myself, Chris Dunning-Walton. CyNam isn't my day job. It is a real passion of mine and something that I have enjoyed immensely over the last few years. My day job is actually I own two recruitment businesses. One is InfoSec People, which over the last 15 years we've built the teams that sit underneath typically the CISO around cybersecurity, and have worked with a number of FTSE 100 companies and high growth scale ups in the space. And then another company we've literally just launched called Sentience, which is an executive search business focusing purely on the cyber leadership teams within companies. So actually placing CISOs and the C-suite of high growth cyber scale ups. So that's my day job. And basically that is all about connecting people and building communities and building connections between interesting people and businesses. So that's always been my jam. And CyNam was an opportunity as a local business person to really do that on a level without an agenda, because my businesses are there to make money, to be profitable. CyNam is not about that, but it has the same mission and around connecting people fundamentally at the start. That's what this was all about, connecting people without an agenda, as we heard from Ali earlier on. So I'll share my slide and I'll give you a brief whistle-stop tour of CyNam and what we've been up to. So here we go. Hopefully we can see that.
Yes, we can see that. Thank you.
Fantastic. Good. The technology works. Great. So here we are, CyNam, our original logo on the left-hand side. Crikey, that takes me back a little bit. And then our now newfangled logo for who we are. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, and CyNam is no exception to that. As Ellie said at the start, originally there was, back in sort of early 2013, 14, 15, there was a meetup group for cyber and technology professionals in Cheltenham that regularly met in a pub, basically, and the pub differed, and people would literally put a few £100 behind the bar. And then a few people would stand up and talk about the interesting things they were doing in the local area. And I used to go to these events myself, and I always felt that they were really good. There were some really interesting people there, but I also felt there was an opportunity to kind of grow and develop that. So when the original event organizer kind of said, I'm going to focus on other things, I took it upon myself to say I'd like to take that on, really. So we took that meetup group, and after sort of retweaking and talking with some colleagues of mine and getting some other people involved, we felt there was an opportunity to really build something that could be very exciting for the local area, which was fundamentally about bringing together all of the technology and cybersecurity community in one particular space. At that stage, I'd seen a number of companies that were going through rounds of investments and having to go to London to find investors. At the same time, I was talking to investors who were saying that they were frustrated. They always had to go to London to find good companies. So initially, it was looking at how we could focus around the SME space in Cheltenham and Gloucestershire to join the dots. Can we find local investors who are interested in really cool local companies? Can we find really cool local companies who can work with really big companies locally? How can we create an ecosystem that is self-fulfilling and building, raising the tide across the board for everybody? So from humble beginnings, and as I say, CyNam, Cyber Cheltenham, we nicked it very conveniently from Cylon, Cyber London, which is a really cool accelerator run by Winton Capital, and has had some great success in London. But I took it upon myself to brand CyNam and look at something that we could do similarly in the West Country. So I'm going to share with you my here we go. 5 years ago, crikey. This was our original business plan and our mission. Now, a lot of this hasn't actually really changed a huge amount, which is really, really, when I was going through putting this together this morning, I'm on annual leave this week with my kids, so I unashamedly crashed this together this morning. But it was really refreshing actually going through some of the things that we looked to set out back 5 years ago. So providing a knowledge share and collaboration hub for local cyber and tech SMEs and startups, bringing together the best infosec minds to really harness the rich ecosystem that flourishes in Cheltenham, developing a proactive angel investment and business support network, providing opportunities for collaboration and open dialogue, and then encouraging collaboration and support from industry corporations in the local area. I really feel like, back then, these were all the things that we were trying to do, and it's taken a long time for us to continue to develop these. But it's been gratifying to see that that's actually really started to take shape. Our goals and our objectives at that time were to create and build a branded, user-friendly website. We didn't have a website at that stage. Now we do, and it all seems like it's cropped up overnight. But it really was grassroots stuff. I think in some ways, CyNam has gone through a journey of scale up and startup, similar to any company really. No website, no presence, no brand. And I was talking to, University of Gloucestershire have been absolutely fantastic in supporting us as of Glos College. And I think when I first spoke to Kamal and others, they thought I was bonkers. But it's all played out quite nicely. But our goals and objectives: to create and build a website, to build a trusted network of mentors that we could bring in to anybody that really needed support, establish a directory, build a national international customer base, attract investors, introduce cyber accelerator programs, and introduce and champion graduate secondment schemes, as well as creating an advisory board. And all of these things we've actually done, which is great. Back then, our values, again, CyNam values, are network, innovate and collaborate. So what we wanted to provide was an opportunity for people to come together, and that engineered serendipity, if you like. I think it was Chris Ensel that talked about this, the conversations over the water cooler, where somebody goes, so tell me what you're doing, and then suddenly sparks fly and they realize there's real chemistry between the two companies, the two ideas, and suddenly a new business is founded and away they go, or a new solution is found. And it happens, we see it happening, whether it's in academia or whether it's in industry, getting good people around the table and comparing notes in a collaborative way without an agenda. Really incredible things have happened and will continue to happen if we're able to do that. And also looking at how we can make Cheltenham a real go-to place for all things cyber. Now, this was also, remember, pre-Golden Valley. So back in 2017, Golden Valley hadn't been announced. It was kind of, it was, I gather at that stage, people were thinking about it and thinking, actually, maybe we could do something. Maybe there's a cyber park here. Maybe didn't really know what was going on, but it was all happenstance that actually Golden Valley has dovetailed nicely with what we've been trying to do anyway, independently, with CyNam and what we were doing back then as well. So we started out and we felt one of the key ways was actually bring people physically together for these events, as Ali said. And we had one of our first events, which was very well attended, had some absolutely fantastic support. Again, what's been really clear is that in Cheltenham and Gloucestershire, we have a community that is incredibly strong around collaboration, especially when it comes to trusted relationships. And I think there's good reason for that, with GCHQ being on our doorstep, where trust is paramount to their success in many, many ways. But actually, that's bred a community locally that has been incredibly receptive to something where the mission is very clear, where they can become a part of something and they can really buy into something that they feel passionate about. So from the outset, we found very little resistance to setting up and to providing events for people to come to and see some really world-class speakers really from the outset. And that's the standard of our events has been a launch pad for us to be able to do an awful lot of other things, the credibility of our events and the speakers that we've had. And I cannot thank those people over the years, last 5 years, in supporting us through this journey and actually giving up their time willingly to support and be a part of the CyNam events. Hopefully some of the people on today's webinar will have gone to our events and enjoyed those. But it's been great to see how those have developed. So that's a brief history. We were totally unfunded. So again, myself and my fellow directors, because 2017, we actually set up and incorporated the business as a community interest company where any profits were reinvested into the business. None of the directors have ever been paid for their involvement in the business. And the business CyNam had to be totally self-funded. We, until very recently, had no support from the government in terms of funding or grants or loans or anything like that. So it had to be self-fulfilling. We had to find sponsors that were willing to stump up hard cash to get something at the end of the day, which was usually corporate social responsibility geared. They did it because they believed in what we were building. They did it because they got some brand recognition within the industry, which was good. But fundamentally, it was more about what we were doing, who they were able to be speaking to, and the quality of events that really resonated. And from that, we were able to self-fund for the good part of 5 years our headline events, which again, huge thanks to all of our sponsors through the time. So whistle stop tour, fast forward 5 years. And here we are with CyNam. We've again gone through a revamp on the website with new imagery and completely new platform. Which has helped enormously. I think now when people are looking for information, they usually go online, and we're able to put an awful lot of incredible collateral, useful collateral onto our website. And I'd highly encourage you to check it out after today if you would like to learn some more. As a business, we've developed and grown, and our events have also grown and developed and become hybrid events due to the pandemic, which actually was helped from an inclusivity point of view. It meant that lots more people could access the events without having to physically be there as well, which was great. So it's broadened our reach and enabled people who haven't been able to get to the physical events to check them out afterwards, or to log on online on the day, which has been really, really good. We've continued in our mission in helping local SMEs and startups, government and education, and bringing everybody together, looking at mentoring and work experience for students. We are the UK's largest cyber cluster, and because of the work that we've been doing in the sector, we have been a spearhead for the UK's C3 development, which is the UK Cyber Cluster Council, which basically is taking clusters like ours, CyNam. There's a fantastic cluster in South Wales, in Belfast and in Scotland, and looking at ways that can be developed on a national basis to create a UK cyber cluster scene where DCMS and other parties can invest significant funding into the cyber clusters to hyperdrive those and to see a replication of the successes that we've had at a grassroots level here in Cheltenham and Gloucestershire, which has been just fantastic to see. We've had incredible sponsors again, major companies, Gloucester College and others as well, and built some really, really cool partnerships. Hub 8 has spun out directly from CyNam. I think it's fair to say that without CyNam, Hub 8 would be, it's not that it wouldn't be there, but it would definitely be a different vision, a different take on how things are. And again, if you haven't been to Hub 8, which is an incredible space right in the middle of Cheltenham, down in the brewery, on the high street, which is an area where significant development is an opportunity for the town, then I would highly encourage you to do so. But Hub 8, again, Bruce, one of the directors of Hub 8, found out about CyNam, came and had a coffee and said, I really want to build an office space in Cheltenham, but I don't know what really is here. What do you think we should do? And we said, there's nothing here purpose built for high growth technology and cyber companies. Why don't you do that? And a few months later, he came back and said, I found a space. Do you want to come and check it out? And we all walked around this floor plate, essentially, with nothing in it, and got very excited because we thought it could be incredible. And Bruce has run with that, and the team have done an incredible job at Hub 8 and built a purpose-built cyber and technology innovation space, and which has really become the physical manifestation of everything that we're doing with CyNam, and some really cool companies there. And you actually see the sort of water cooler effect, people kind of meeting up and having those conversations that have led to new businesses being formed, investments being made, really cool things starting to happen there. So I think it's fair to say that Hub 8 probably wouldn't have happened if CyNam hadn't happened at the first place. The team has developed and grown as well. Managing Director Richard York has stepped in and is actually now working within the business as well. And we've got 4 more full-time employees within the business, which is great. And they have done an incredible job in taking us onto the next level of evolution for CyNam as a force for good in the local area. Team of directors, again, all of whom are not paid for the work that they do, but give up their time to be involved. And Reid Darby being one of those. Reid still works within the authority, but also is doing a huge amount of work within Golden Valley and other areas as well, and has been absolutely invaluable in helping us to join up a lot of the dots in the local community in getting what we need to do. If you haven't met or spoken to Madeline Howard, she's an inspiration and a fantastic person in the local area to know and speak to if you ever get the chance. Our events have grown, and we've held them in multiple different places. The last one was at the Pitbull Pump Rooms. We have just literally yesterday decided on our next event in the summer, which we're going to be doing around Web 3.0, but that's hot off the press, so you haven't heard it from me. Wait for the official announcement to come out, but we're going to do some really cool stuff around Web 3.0, the metaverse, and things like that, which should be really, really cool. Our audience has grown. Again, locally, over 1,000 individuals, 150 organizations are involved. Nationally, again, because of the hybrid nature of our events, and also because of a lot of work that we're doing with national corporations and national bodies such as Cyber First and others, our national presence has grown. And we're also part of Global Epic, which has led to some really interesting link-ups on a global scale as well. And we've got some plans moving forward about how we can start to pull interested investors or interesting companies into the local region through collaboration, whether that's in America or Europe. There's an awful lot of really good conversations that are beginning to develop. And then we have our fantastic team who've been sharing all of our messages, and then this is just this is very special to me. All of these, we've got social media, we've got Slack, monthly newsletters, face-to-face engagement. So ensuring that the community gains regular content that is relevant to them, that is resonating with them, and they find useful, has been a key component of how we've grown CyNam as well. So to round off, I think the critical defining factors for CyNam's success over the last few years has firstly been its independence and neutral status. Now, it's rare in business to find an organization that is completely without agenda. Now, there are some fantastic charities that absolutely are out there and doing that. And Cheltenham's key drivers have always been about what we can do for the community, not what we can get out of the community. I think that really key differentiator has meant that we've had huge buy-in and traction with the local authority, with DCMS, with NCSC, and others who would not necessarily want to put their name or trust in something if they felt that there was an agenda here. So that independence and neutral status has been really, really key and will remain the case moving forward as we grow and develop, and as we continue to be a catalyst and accelerator for cyber innovation in the local community, because it's absolutely critical that the trust remains. Our focus has always been around the community and what the community wants and needs, and bringing that community together in a way that's as inclusive as we can possibly make it. And we're still learning lessons around that, but it will always be community centric. The expertise has been phenomenal. I mean, again, check out CyNam 22.1 and the level of speakers that we're getting, whether they were talking about technical topics or around ecosystems or around investment, I think has always been top class. And because of that, people want to be there, they want to learn, they want to listen, and they find it valuable. And because our events are free as well, it's meant that there's been high take up and mapping a free event which has fantastic speakers and fantastic people involved. Well, there's not really many reasons why you wouldn't want to go to that. And then our motivations, what we can bring, not what we can do, or what we can get. I've just mentioned that previously, and that's going to be staying as we move forward and genuinely making a difference. You know, we've seen university students getting jobs as a result of some introductions that we've made, or apprentices who've literally been offered a job on the spot, having talked about what they're interested in. Seeing companies grow and develop, and not just be a 1 or 2 person, business, but being a 10, 15, 20 person, 30 person, 50 person organization, and seeing what we can do to really help and join up the dots for them, what we can do for the local for the local academia as well. So how can we take those really talented students and those people who've got concepts that are going to be groundbreaking and incredibly useful in a corporate environment? How can we set the conditions that actually see that become a reality? So what's next? I will, if I may, share after this some findings that we had from a delegation that we sent to Slush in Helsinki last year, where Slush is an event specifically for cyber scale-ups and high growth companies in the cyber space. And you'd think Helsinki is a bit of a strange place to put it, but they created it purely because, yes, Helsinki is a bit of a strange place, but they wanted to pull and become a centre for cyber excellence and cyber innovation a few years ago. And they've done an incredible job of creating that ecosystem, creating that community, creating that buzz around what they're doing there. And now Slush is a really cool event to go to. So we sent some people over there, managed to, secure some funding for that. And we had some really cool takeaways about what we want to do next as a result of that. So I'll send, if I may, the manifesto that's come out of Slush, where we're asking you, the community, to give feedback around that on what you think we could do to accelerate CyNam's growth and do what we can as a power for good in the local area. What we found from Slush, though, was what we need to create Cheltenham's next gravitational pull. And that's hand in glove with Golden Valley and what we're looking to do there, but also looking at ways that we can bring new companies to the local area and unashamedly talk about all of the really cool things that are actually happening in and around Cheltenham that makes it such an attractive place for entrepreneurs and for big businesses to be more involved, whether that's through the university, through Gloss College, through the fantastic festivals. We've got Cheltenham Festival, Literature Festival, we've got Music Festival, Jazz and Science Festivals. We've got so many things going on. We've got a list as long as your arm of the global tech giants that have a presence in our town, whether that's BAE, IBM, DXC, CSE, BT. I mean, there is an unparalleled list of incredible companies that have a presence in Cheltenham. Now, the reasons they're here are quite obviously to do with big round building down the road. But that's okay, they're still here, and we're still able to say they are here, and we've got some really cool things going on with that. But it's how do we generate that buzz around, actually, we're onto something really cool here in Cheltenham, and you should be here as well if you want to be a part of that. Moving beyond the helix, so there's in terms of ecosystems, building up ecosystems, there's this concept of whether it's a triple helix or a quadruple helix of academia, government, industry, and society moving together, and you need those four things to be working together to create an ecosystem for cyber scale-ups and cyber growth. However, latest thinking is you don't. Latest thinking is actually university dropouts have started unicorns, and people who haven't gone to university at all have started high growth scale-ups in the space. So innovation and high growth scale-ups do not have a set model of success, and neither does the owner of a cyber scale-up have a set model of who they are and what their journey has been to date. The most important thing is that we're setting the conditions that mean that lots of different people can be successful in lots of different ways, and not to really focus on an outdated framework to enable innovation, but instead look at the assets that we currently have in our town, as well as making connections with innovators across the UK and on a global basis to really leverage those assets and bring them out. Then we're asking our entrepreneurs to really step up and take an active role in seeing the success of new companies, and again creating an active community of entrepreneurs, people who have been there, who've done that. And there are lots actually in the Cheltenham area of really exciting people who've sold their own businesses and have done incredibly well. And we're asking those individuals, those entrepreneurs, to invest their time and their money to really get excited in supporting their peers and those really cool high growth companies that are going through that early stage pain, but have some incredible opportunities ahead of them. So creating a community of entrepreneurs, of people who've gone through that scale up process to actually hyperdrive the next generation of companies as they come through. And also to lean into Cheltenham's evolving narrative as a business, looking at ways that we can link into GCHQ, National Cyber Security Centre, and Golden Valley, and what that means for the future of our town. And then celebrating our champions. So there are some incredible companies that have done really, really well in the local area, whether that's, I'll rattle off a few names, but there's Anatwine, Deep3, Fast Hosts, Immersive Labs, Ripjar, Synologic, TrustStamp, Savient. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of really cool companies that are already here. We need to do more to champion those companies and see them as an inspiration for other people. And then embracing the failing fast culture and sorry about that, I'm supposed to say chaos rather than case. Embracing the chaos, because being an entrepreneur, setting up a business, I've set up several, it's always messy. It's very challenging. It's really difficult. It's a bumpy road. The goalposts will have to change. CyNam is a good example of this. And the road that we've gone down, and we've tried some things that haven't worked, and we've got some things right, and we've really had to roll with the punches around funding and other things as well. But that journey of chaos, failing fast, and getting out of it, I think probably a very British way of thinking about things. I couldn't possibly set up my own business. What happened if it went wrong? Whereas in America, they're a bit more yeehaw, guns in the air, go for it types, and that West Coast sort of American feeling of we can do it, doesn't matter. You know, I've set up 3 different companies and they've all failed, but the 4th one's going to be the winner. Again, failing fast is okay. It's good. It's actually really healthy that we engender that fail fast culture locally. So there's a simple 4-step recipe for how we build an ecosystem. Dedicated place for it, invite current and future entrepreneurs, give the control to them and support with funding. And that's why Juni Lunasma, who's a member of the board at Maria 01. And I couldn't agree more. I think that's very, very true. But I think we're starting to get there for Cheltenham. It's a really exciting time. And CyNam will continue to develop its own narrative and develop what we can do to support and accelerate those growth plans locally. And we would love to hear from anybody that wants to get involved from every different walk of life, including University of Gloucestershire and academia, whether that's locally or nationally. But that's enough of setting the scene, I think. So I will wrap up there and end my slideshow. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you
How
very
was
much,
that?
Chris. Absolutely. Thank you very much. No, it's really informative, and we really need these kind of information, especially myself, the team, and also the audience would like to know how CyNam works and how can we engage with you. As a university, I'm talking now, it's the benefit of our student. How can our student get benefit from CyNam, whether they are get job or be involved as entrepreneurship and establish their own business startups? That's really bang, because we are proud of saying that we have 95% employability rate, and this is something it's really incredibly hard to satisfy and maintain that. And the challenge now, we need to maintain it. We've been in this situation for many years in terms of the employability rate, but maintain that, we really need to be engaged with you, Chris, in the future activities for the benefit of our students. And do you know what I like about CyNam? It's when you announce your event, you number it's 21.9.20. I really like that. It's 100% computer science engineering thought. It's which I'm biased on that.
Well, I'm high on my Hogans. I'm very high on scientific, and I did psychology at university, and I always loved my science. But yeah, that was just a kind of I don't know. We just went with that from the start, really. But there's logicality in it. There's always
absolutely. It just tells me a lot. 22.2 at all. It means that this is the second event in. Yeah, that's understandable. Also, I would like to, before I start to open the floor for questions for the audience. By the way, Justine, just post that if you have any question, please either post it in the chat area, or you can raise your hand and ask Chris the question you'd like to ask. But for me, I would like to kick it off with a question about the Helsinki one or any opportunity. We offer our students, we used to offer our students international trip. And I think the last trip we did it before COVID, and that was in Vegas in the Consumer Association events. And there will be one in January. So we are planning to do that. But we'd like to offer one in Europe as well. It's relevant to cyber. I really appreciate, Chris, if you can recommend an event for us so our students, they can go and learn from that in Europe. I'm saying Europe because it costs less than America, but it makes sense.
Well, I'd gladly go to Vegas next time you do that one. So let me know, and that's the thing. But yeah, there was some really cool events last month in Europe as well. So what I'll do is probably drop you over a few different options of the events that we'd recommend Europe-wise. Again, it depends whether you're looking for something quite specific or looking for something quite generalized, and also sort of topics you might be interested. But I'll pop you over some options.
Well, my colleague, Dr. Kublai Almirza, he's going to go with the student, and I would like to just invite him to open his camera to introduce, Kublai. Chris, interested to go with you, so please feel free to involve him in the communication.
Definitely.
Yep, definitely. Nice to meet you, Chris. It was really informative to hear about CyNam, and I've been following CyNam on LinkedIn, and but it's really informative to hear about all that. Before COVID, I attended a number of events in Hub 8 as well, arranged by BAE Systems. COVID impacted that, but it was really informative. I think it's really useful for our students as well, and a number of our students attended those events as well. Apart from that, these trips, especially the ones that are international, are really useful. But as science festivals approaching, we are planning for something like that, and something in collaboration with CyNam would be amazing that we can do in Science Festival. We are planning some activities for our students, and not for our students, are planned by our students for college and school kids that can make them more interested in cyber and cyber courses. So anything in collaboration would be really good.
Anytime. I think we'll take it offline from here, but absolutely, let's talk further about what we can do to help or signpost people in the right direction or connect people with what might be most relevant. That'd be great.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Kublai. Thanks. Also, Chris, it's about the engagement. I just established last year a blockchain lab, and we are developing some application, and I can see that my colleague Sapida is here. She's the person in charge with the blockchain lab, and also that's something. One of the first application we did through a placement student, Joe. He developed application to use blockchain for voting system for election, and that's something we would like to invest in as well. So we are sharing that in the Science Festival, Cheltenham Science Festival, so the student, they can learn from what we are doing actually.
That would be awesome. It'd be good to potentially talk to somebody about that for CyNam 22.2 around Web 3.0. The metaverse and some blockchain that we're looking to explore within that. So there might be something we can look at for that. So great. Yeah. Really good to hear.
I will inform my colleague Sapida and the blockchain team. Then we can have a following up on that as well.
Perfect.
Any question? Please raise your hand or put a question in the chat area. Feel free. That's this is an opportunity for us to learn from what CyNam is doing, and it's really I like when you presented the 2017 plan and mission, and you put that you establish a website. I mean, it means that in 5 years you are now one of the largest CIC company which deal with the cybersecurity around the country, which is a great effort, Chris. To be honest, it's not an easy. Put your
no, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. It's been interesting. I think I was trying to find compare when the events that we hold now, Pitfield pump rooms. I think we had about 300 odd people there, and were recording it, beaming it out as well. And I was trying to find a comparable event that did that. And it was struggling, to be honest. I think it is a very, very slick process now, and that's nothing to do with me. We've got an incredible team who've done such an amazing job. But we now in Cheltenham have one of the premier free to go to events in cybersecurity on various different topics, and it's great. It's really good to see that that's the case, and it's happening, and will continue to do so. So yeah, I think the whole team can be incredibly proud of everything they've done. They are just fantastic individuals, but I think there's some real opportunity there. And the really exciting thing is, all of those, for the students within University of Gloucestershire, the real key here is that you don't have to be an absolute cyber ninja, right? You don't have to come up with something new in cybersecurity to set up a new company. Often the companies that we're talking to do something slightly different or slightly faster or slightly better than something that's already out there. I think one of the key pieces around entrepreneurship is actually you don't have to have something completely groundbreaking and new. It just needs to be slightly better or slightly faster version of something that's already there. And in fact, if it is completely new, it's probably going to fail because everybody will go, that's way too new and scary for me. I don't know if that's actually a thing that we need. Whereas if you can find and do something that already exists, but just slightly better, you've probably got a business waiting to happen on your hands. So I think that maybe there's some opportunities there if anybody would like to explore. If they've got an idea, if they've got something they're already doing or studying or areas, if they want to run that past somebody in CyNam, whether that's from a business point of view or from a technical point of view, we would love to hear from you. The most important start of any journey, any company is start. Put your hand up in the air and go, I've got this idea. Am I completely bonkers? Or could I be onto something? And start talking to people. I think that would be really cool. We've got a question. Have somebody got their hand up?
It's
it's me again.
It's Kublai raised his hand. Yeah.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot again, Chris, but I've got another proposition for you. We planned last year, the year running, the academic year, that we're going to host some talks or hackathons every month, and we are really looking forward for the next academic year to do that every month for all our students. We've got a good cohort every year. We have really good cohort and a lot of students who are really interested in entrepreneurship, in ideas, but sadly, it's a common theme amongst a lot of students that their final project, which doesn't matter how good it is on paper, stays on paper. But if we arrange monthly talks here at the university where students can attend, we can offer them free pizza just to lure them in. That will inspire them to do something, and then to think about a project which actually they can make a business out of it, make a product out of it, and that way I think we can make an ecosystem of like a production line of ideas or something like that. And that was our idea. Me and Ali were actually planning earlier this academic year. So can we do something like that with CyNam? And yeah.
Definitely. I know a couple of companies that are probably, chuck the beer and the pizza on for you. So absolutely. No, definitely. I'd love to explore that with you. I think that would be really cool. And also, sometimes people think that cybersecurity and cybersecurity opportunities are only for people in cyber. They're not. So whether it's Ripjar or whoever, there are so many cybersecurity companies that are building products, and most of the people who work within those companies are software engineers. They have a marketing team, they have project managers, they have business people. So even if people are not right now studying just cybersecurity, but they may be doing marketing, but they kind of really enjoy cybersecurity, or doing business studies, but they want to know more about cybersecurity, or whatever that might be. There is an opportunity in cybersecurity that is non-technical as well as technical. Again, because I think there is a misnomer that in order to be working in this cybersecurity sector, you have to be deeply technical. Don't get me wrong, it helps in certain areas, and it's actually, you definitely need it in certain areas, but in others, not so much, actually. And the most talented people I know in the industry are the ones who sit between the two, who get technology, but also get business and get people. And if you're one of these people in the middle, and they are very rare, deeply technical, great with people, great with business strategy, because those skill sets are quite difficult, right? If you are one of those people, you can take over the world, you know, and it's a really exciting time. So definitely we'd love to help you and support you with anything around bringing together people who've got an idea or a concept. And don't get me wrong, if you want to, you know, the future does not, again, I think there's way too much pressure on younger generations now that you have to own a business and have sold it by the time you're 25 and be a billionaire, right? Everybody sees that, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. In order to be successful, you have to set up your own business and do this by then. No, there's some really cool companies you can get involved with that, you know, it's okay not to have done that. So whilst you might have a great idea, you could take that idea and work within a company that goes, that's a great idea, we'll work with you to do that and be a part of that and take that to see its fruition. You don't have to be a inverted commas entrepreneur to be a success. And I think there's probably way too much pressure on younger generations that you have to have set up your own business and sold it by the age of 25 to be successful. That's definitely not the case. So we would love to hear from, support anybody that's interested in whether it's taking their own idea in their own business, taking an idea and taking it to a company, or just generally wants to kind of learn more and get involved with companies locally to find a new vocation, new career. That'd be great.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. So I'll be sending you a storm of emails after summer.
I will be immediately forwarding those on to the other people in the business that actually do all the things that need to be done.
Brilliant. Thank you.
But that would be great. Thank you so much. Any other questions?
Thanks, Chris, for that. It's really encouragement that I'm going to mention, send this recording to our students just to listen to you about the point about establishing business, startup business or entrepreneurship or being involved. It doesn't have to be, as you mentioned, ninja idea or something outstanding. It could be a basic or just change something. They can have a successful move forward for 1, 2, 3 years, and they can develop that idea for further our future work. So that is a really bank for them, because if we tell them that we are an academic, they said you aren't within the university, but when they heard from you, it's totally to make a difference. And the idea of Kublai having a monthly event, that's also, it's going to encourage our student. As I mentioned, maintaining the 95% or more employability is not an easy job, task to do. I'm just looking to the audience. If you have any question, last question, we have still few minutes to go. Otherwise, I would like to thank Chris. You are on leave, on holiday, and really, we're really sorry. I pass my sorry to your family to take 2 hours from your time.
No, I thank you for saving me from my kids.
We send apologies, and this is our fault. Thank you very much for your time, and please join me and thanks Chris for this talk. And this is the first time we are meeting. I'm meeting Chris. We will be in touch with you, Chris, for future collaboration. Many thanks, and have a nice day. And for you, have a nice annual leave.
Thank you so much. You take care. Bye now.
Bye. Thank you.